everybody. It's day 2 of our life class webcast. I've been reading your posts, your comments today. I'm loving the feedback, loving especially that you all are feeding each other back. What's great to see is that you're interacting and actually starting to support each other. We were talking about holding on to anger with author Terry McMillan, who was a wonderful teacher for us tonight. Her anger against her ex-husband for several years literally took over her life. She was consumed by it until she let it go. And tonight we're joined by relationship expert Dion Levanzant. Hello. Her book called Peace from Broken Pieces is all about what happens when you finally are able to let it go. And you say that actually most people don't even understand what anger really is.
No, we really don't. You know, there are two emotions, love and fear.
Right.
So anger is really
Y'all know
a
that, right?
manifestation.
Love
and fear.
Okay.
Anger is a manifestation of fear, and there are 4 primal fears.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, the fear of losing someone's love or having your love rejected. The human mind just can't even handle that.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of being powerless or helpless, and therefore you're not safe in your being, so the fear of being unsafe. The third fear is really the number 1 human addiction.
Mm-hmm.
The number 1 human addiction is not chocolate, it's control. So that third fear is the fear of losing control. Control of yourself, control of others, control of what will happen, how it will happen, when it will happen, sends the human ego into total meltdown. And then the other fear is just not being seen as valuable, worthy, necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So anger is really the manifestation of one of those fears. That your love is being rejected, or that it's going to be taken away, that you're going to be seen as helpless, hopeless, therefore vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the ego can't stand vulnerability.
The ego can't stand vulnerable because vulnerable means weakness to the ego. So
Right.
you think you're perceived as being weak and you must do something to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
And to show yourself to be.
And in order not to be vulnerable, you want to maintain control. So when you can't control how somebody's doing what they're doing, there's a fear there,
Mm-hmm.
and that takes us into anger.
So we're beginning to, as I said last night, these classes are really a catalyst for us all to begin thinking differently. We're not going to solve all your problems, but it's a catalyst to think differently. And our interactive question tonight is, what is holding you back in your life right now? Is it anger or something from your past? Go to Oprah.com and begin to post your answers. So many of you already have. I've already chosen some favorites. Sherry Salata, hello, back at the producer's table. Hey.
Hey!
What's everybody talking about?
Well, Facebook is hopping, Oprah, as it was last night.
I was just on Facebook myself. Go ahead.
I mean, it's hopping. People are completely engaged in this, but I think this topic is really going to hit home, and you both are going to have a lot to handle tonight. Linda L. is saying that she's been angry since her early 20s, and now she's going to figure out why and why she's holding on to it. Sonia H. says she's having bing moments all over the place watching Life Class.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a cute one. Khadija J. said she's watching the show with her 8-year-old daughter, who said, I need to watch this so I can better deal when I get angry, which I know you love.
Yes.
And
the
big question that people have is, I think this is a little tricky one. You might want to wait on this one till later. It's from Charlene C. How do you let go of anger that you have toward yourself?
Wow. Yeah. Well, can I say a little bit?
You can say whatever you want to.
Oh, because I'm a teacher, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a teacher class here. Here's the thing about anger that I hope everyone can get. That you're never angry for the reason you think you are.
Uh-huh.
Ever.
Uh-huh.
The only way, because you're not born with anger in you.
Okay.
We're not born with it. So something happened, and you had that helpless, hopeless, vulnerable, powerless, lack of control response, and that made an impression. You see, the experience made the imprint, the thing happened, and then on the soul, there's an impression. And anytime anything that looks like, sounds like, smells like is related to that first impression raises those feelings up in you, the anger is stirred up. So you think you're angry because Boo-Boo left you. No, that is really not the origin, the core.
So Boo-Boo was the trigger.
Boo-Boo was the trigger. Ride him, trigger. Come on. So Boo-Boo was just coming into your life to remind you that there's something down there that you need to handle.
Okay, so for example, we have, I think it's two sisters. Is it Sade and Cherie? Where are they? Okay, which one are you?
I'm Cherie.
Okay, Cherie, go ahead.
Well, I got married a little while ago, and my sister's in my wedding. And 2 months before the wedding, she informed me she couldn't be a part of the wedding anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I expressed my anger and my disappointment.
Why couldn't she be a part of the wedding?
She said that she couldn't afford the dress.
But wait a minute, that's not even the issue. What were you angry about?
Well, let me finish the story. Okay.
Well, she said she couldn't afford the dress, but it was a long engagement, and I just kind of felt like, why didn't you say anything beforehand?
So she dropped out of the wedding
Yes.
because she couldn't afford the dress.
Yes.
Okay, now.
What was the fear that you had?
I guess I was just disappointed. Like, why didn't you tell me? And
No, that's control. Your sister gets to spend her money any way she wants to spend it.
yeah.
But why did
But
she
her
drop
not
out of the
being-
wedding?
Because she has a right to do that. See, now it's your ego that wanted your sister to be there, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, what was the fear? Hang with me. Wait a minute. I'm trying to teach this part of the class.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Look deeper. If you were to rise above it and look down at it, here you are getting married, and you want your sister there, and she's saying she's not going to be there. What was the fear?
That it wasn't as important to her as it was to
You
me.
see?
There you go.
Let me teach the class.
There you go. Cherie's sister, Sade, joins us on Skype. So, hello? There you are?
Hi.
Hi. So, Sade, that's how you pronounce your name?
Yeah.
Okay. Sade, tell us what was going on.
I believe that it started off about the dress, but I think after words were exchanged and people's feelings were hurt, that it was no longer about the dress. I think it was more about deeper issues of us being half sisters and just not really having the same upbringing and the same values. I think that really like what sparked why I'm so angry about the situation. It's not.
The best place for creators to make money in the creator economy is Kajabi.
You don't need a huge following to be really successful.
I have 12,000 followers and I'm able to make 6 figures with Kajabi.
I feel this energy and this truth that comes through you. Like it just gets me so choked up to be in the presence of somebody that has such a gift. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what you believe most of us need to hear and be reminded of.
Most people underestimate how necessary their existence is in the world. And as a result, assume a posture of resignation that leaves the world less than what it could be. Our lives are not random, they are not coincidences. We were all given these lives to make the world better. And I feel like most people underestimate how necessary they are. And as a result, they don't take their healing seriously, they don't take their thoughts seriously. But if we truly ever tapped into the high value of our breath, it would change what we speak, it would change what we think, it would change how we show up in the world, and it would quite literally make the world a better place.
Oh, Sarah Jakes Roberts just gave you a gift. Hey, it's your friend now. There are going to be times in your life when you wake up and wonder, have I messed it all up? Periods in your life, that just suck. Where you've made a major mistake, you feel a lot of regret. Maybe you're still there mentally right now. Or maybe someone that you love is going through a really low period in their life. When you're struggling, it begs the question, can you really overcome any failure or any pain or regret or mistake that you've made in your life? And if I were to tell you that There's absolutely no mistake that will keep you from becoming who you're truly meant to be. Would you actually believe me? Well, after today, you will. Because you're about to meet a remarkably inspiring person who has been knocked down over and over and over again. And she knows the secret to getting back up, to finding your power, even when you feel powerless. When you were little, you once thought anything was possible. This episode today will remind you it still is. Because there is nothing that you've done that will stand in the way of who you want to become. So if you're tired of regrets holding you back, and if you're sick of beating yourself up over the mistakes that you've made, today you're going to learn how to pick yourself back up and take that big old pile of leftovers from life and turn it into a 5-star meal. You know, I always say no one's coming, but today someone special is here. The one and only Sarah Jakes Roberts. I'm so excited to get to spend some time with you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
So I would love to have you start by talking directly to the person who's listening and share with them what they can expect to experience and learn from you today. Like, how might their life change if they take everything that you're about to share to heart?
I would say today you are going to learn to rest in the truth of who you are, not just your hopes and dreams, the achievements and shiny things, but the things that have been hard and challenging. Today you're going to find a way to rest in that, embrace it, accept it, and then allow it to propel you into a big, beautiful future.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I would like that.
Let's go.
Let's go. And in order to go forward, I think oftentimes in life you got to look back.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love the most about you, there's so many things that I love about you, but I love that whenever I watch you online or I tune into a sermon or I read something that you've written, I feel as though I have somebody walking by my side, not somebody speaking down from above. And you have a story in terms of your past that I think a lot of people don't realize. And I would love for us to go back in time before we start talking about the wisdom that you have to share, because there is so much that you learn from those periods in your life. And so can you take us back to this moment in time? You are the daughter of a well-known mega church pastor, and something happens in your personal life.
Yes, I got pregnant at 13 years old. I had my son at 14 years old, which I think is a staggering sentence no matter whose child you are. But the added complexity of my father being a prominent leader in faith, I think further intensified the sense of shame, the sense of guilt that I had to wade through for about 10 years. And I think also that was heightened by this fact that, like, though I have this family that is huge in the faith world, I never really felt like one of the good girls, one of the God girls, one of the church girls. And so in many ways, it felt like this pregnancy just confirmed a pre-existing insecurity that for some reason I didn't fit. And so my pregnancy is when I accepted, like, okay, this is not for me. I'm going to figure life out on my own, and I'm going to let all the good church people do what good church people do. And I'm just going to figure everything else out.
Well, God had different plans.
Me too.
You know, when I think about the age 13 and 14, how did you even process something like that as such a young girl?
I didn't. I thought the worst thing that was going to happen was, like, I'm going to get in trouble. Like, I'm going to be grounded. Like, we didn't even have cell phones at the time. Like, oh my gosh, you're going to take the antenna out of the TV and take the phone cord out of the wall. Like, this is going to be punishment. It wasn't until I saw their reaction that I began to realize that this is bigger than just you're in trouble. This is a life-altering experience that has created grief in our family. And I think that seeing their grief, seeing them struggle with what it means to have a child that's having a child, made me realize that whatever just took place here has changed my life forever.
And it's interesting that you, in reflecting back, can say, my immediate reaction was one of going, oh, well, there are those kind of people over there that are the godly church people. I'm always going to be over here.
Yeah.
What was that journey like over those 10 years where you were wrestling with that natural instinct that we all have, that we separate? We don't see ourselves as connected to other people. We push back against the love that's coming at us or the support that's coming at us. How did you even move through that?
Well, I think so. I started off comparison, so I'm not like them. So let me figure out who I am like. And so I would say, you know what? I kind of feel like I'm close to this kind of girl. So I'll be that kind of girl. And then I got with those kind of girls. And like, I don't exactly fit here. So let me go here. And I thought maybe achievement, maybe success, maybe relationships. I can be like whoever this other girl is supposed to be. And then I will try and find myself. And I think as long as I was trying to be like some other version of someone, that I never had an opportunity to figure out who I was. And so for 10 years, I was trying on, like Cinderella, trying on different shoes. Like I was just trying on shoe after shoe after shoe until I said, you know what? I'm going to be barefoot. Who needs shoes? You know, I'm a country girl from West Virginia. I'm going to be barefoot. I'm going to stand flat-footed in the truth of who I am. I'm going to stand flat-footed in this. Maybe it is isolation. Maybe it is loneliness. Maybe I don't fit anywhere. Maybe I just fit within myself. And from that space, I said, you know what? I've tried literally everything. I have waitress at a strip club. I've tried these toxic relationships. I've gone to school. I've worked for the government. I tried everything. I said, you know what? I'm going to try faith. I'm going to try and figure out if this God who they talk about, who loves you no matter what, like I'm going to see if maybe possibly it works for someone like me. And I think from there, this really intimate relationship with God allowed me to encounter healing and love and restoration. And I thought that it would just be between me and God, that it would make no sense to anyone else, but it finally made sense to me.
You said something that struck me, that maybe I could just fit within myself.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Maybe I can just embrace myself. Instead of seeking a sense of belonging, a sense of okayness from other people, if I could find a way to be okay with myself, then I can wrap my arms around who I am. And for me, I had to sit with myself until I no longer cringed. I had to sit with myself until I no longer felt shame. I had to sit with myself until I could experience compassion where I once felt guilt. And from that place of compassion, I learned to love who I am. And like, yes, this is my story. And no, it may not be perfect, but I'm going to stick beside me.
People like you make us who we are. Farmers Home Furniture, a strong employee-owned company celebrating 75 years of experience. We are ready for your business and ready to help furnish your dream home, making your purchase easy with affordable credit options and up to 50% off clearance merchandise while supplies last. Visit farmershomefurniture.com today. This is who we are. This is Farmers Home Furniture for your life.
Every single one of us has stuff that we've done in the past, things that we have done to ourselves or other people, mistakes that we think that we made. How do you begin the process of sitting with yourself? How do you learn how to forgive yourself?
It starts with intention. I sat with myself. I will say those 10 years, I was sitting with myself, but I was sitting with myself, punishing myself. How could you be so stupid? You made the biggest mistake. No one's ever going to want you. Sometimes we are sitting with ourselves, but how we are sitting with ourselves is why we can't heal. You can't want to heal and punish yourself at the same time. To repeat the words that other people have spoken over you that were negative, having it replay in your mind over and over again while you sit with yourself will never bring you to a place of healing. Sitting with yourself with the pursuit of compassion But the pursuit of love and acceptance, that's when we start sitting with ourselves and experience some discomfort and some, dysregulation, because sitting with myself and trying to be compassionate requires me to stretch to love myself in a way that I don't think is possible. And as long as you don't think it's possible to sit with yourself and love yourself, every facet of who you are, it doesn't matter who you love, it doesn't matter what you achieve. Until you can really sit with yourself, none of those things are going to make you feel better either. But it is the greatest, absolute greatest gift that you can give yourself, to allow love to flood the place where you want emptiness.
I just want to make sure that as you're taking your walk, or you're washing your dishes, or you were driving in your car, that you caught the actual magic that just came through the speakers or the headphones. I have never heard anybody say something as profound as you just said. You cannot heal while you are still punishing yourself.
And we don't do ourselves any favors by committing to punishing ourselves over and over again for what we did, for what we allowed to happen. This is what we say, though. We say to ourselves, I'm going to keep this from happening again by constantly living with it right in front of me. And if I can live with it right in front of me, if I can beat myself up, if I can punish myself, then I will keep this from happening again. I will prepare myself for further rejection from other people if I constantly remember how unworthy I am, how little value I possess. And so in many ways, we think this is me protecting myself by constantly keeping it in front of my face. But if we're honest, we do long for an existence where we want to believe that I am not just this one moment, but we will never be more than that one moment if we constantly replay that moment in our head. And so to invite into our atmosphere, what other moments do I want to have? What other things do I want to define me? I spent so long not wanting to be defined as a teen mom, instead of saying, I will be defined as being a teen mom, but also I'm going to be an incredible person, but also I'm going to love myself, but also I'm going to dream, and I'm going to be an author and a teen mom. I'm not trying to disconnect from who I was. I'm trying to bring all of who I am into the fullness of where I am.
Sarah Jakes Roberts just gave you a gift, but also.
Yeah.
But also.
But also, I'm this and that. I am all of these things, and I thought that because I was this one thing, I had no permission to be anything else. So yeah, the truth is, yeah, I'm a teen mom. Yes, I've gone through divorce. I've got a laundry list of things that I never wanted to be that I've had to step boldly in. And in addition to that, I'm on the Mel Robbins podcast.
And in addition to that,
you know what I mean?
millions of people tune into you every single week.
All of those things are true. All of these things are true. And I don't want to be all of my achievements. Gosh, can you imagine what that would be? The pressure and the arrogance connected to that. I want to be this beautiful mixture, this beautiful tapestry of a girl on a journey and a woman owning her power. And I can live in all of that. I can do all of that.
A girl on her journey and a woman on her power. Somebody needs to write a song. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Do you, when you're speaking, have this experience of just things flowing through you? Like I don't even feel like it's a conversation. I feel this energy and this truth that comes through you. Like it just gets me so choked up to be in the presence of somebody that has such a gift.
Oh. It's I believe that I'm anointed for this. I believe that anything that I've done in the earth is not a reflection of my skills or my talents or something you pick up in a book. This is a full submission to my belief that I am made in the image of God, and that I have this incredible opportunity to reflect God's glory everywhere I go.
Amen.
And if I can get past my nerves, if I can get past my insecurity, if I can get past my second guessing and rest in that truth, there's a flow that just happens. And it doesn't just happen like in this, like I'm in this flow when I'm raising my children. They're opening up to me and I'm like, God, don't let me be worried. Don't let me overreact. You know what I mean? Let me reflect your glory in their vulnerability. Let me reflect your glory when I go into this meeting. I really do want to be a light in this world. And after experiencing as much darkness as I have gone through, to offer just a flicker to another person, like maybe I can't be this big, brilliant light for everyone. But if today in this moment you're listening and I get to be a flicker on your journey, just know that there are other flames connected that are going to build this inferno of who you're going to be. But we got to gather every flicker, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the part of life that many of us miss, is that we're waiting for these big moments that are going to shine a huge light on us. And when I have that huge light, then I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be powerful. But I am beginning to believe that it's all about us gathering those little moments, those little like Christmas light size moments.
Yeah.
Where things are just a little bit better, and then we look up and things have become brilliant.
Millions of people do tune in to your every word. And having watched and listened to your sermons and experienced what a force you are, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what you believe most of us need to hear and be reminded of.
Most people underestimate how necessary their existence is in the world. And as a result, assume a posture of resignation that leaves the world less than what it could be. Our lives are not random, they are not coincidences. There is nothing more special about me than there is about you. We were all given these lives to make the world better. And I feel like most people underestimate how necessary they are. And as a result, they don't take their healing seriously. They don't take their thoughts seriously. We put ourselves on discount and give ourselves away to like the lowest bidder because we have these achings inside of us. But if we truly ever tapped into the high value of our breath, it would change what we speak, it would change what we think, it would change how we show up in the world, and it would quite literally make the world a better place. Like if you can just make your world, your friends, your family, your sisters, your coworkers, if you can take seriously the impact you have in your corner of the world, and then I take seriously the impact that I have with my influence in my corner of the world, those incremental commitments are how we begin to change the narrative of what it means to be humans surviving together.
Extra absorbent, even for your messiest meals. Vanity Fair napkins. Elevate every day.
You've got questions? We've got answers. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
That's beautiful. And I think you're right.
I do too.
I get struck by the number of people that write in every single day that are seeking purpose. And I think to myself, well, your purpose is to heal and to share yourself and to make yourself better and then make everybody that comes in contact with you feel a little better, to spread the light that you're talking about. But it starts with you.
Yeah.
You said something that just, holy cow, I've never heard this. It's this concept of discounting yourself to the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So when I look at the 10 years of my life where I struggle, first of all, I grew up in church during the height of purity culture. Okay. So the highest prize was to be this like untouched virgin when you get married. They didn't care if you went to school. They didn't care. Like, girl, just don't give it up. The over and over again. Just like, girl, don't do it. Okay. Well, I did it. I was like, okay.
No,
So
I'm not doing it. You're not smacking. Do it.
I did it. Okay. And so I'm like, all right, we're going to knock that price down a little bit, put a little sticker over my worth and my value. And then I'm like, well, hey, the price is already low. You might as well try some other things. And so I think little by little, I fell for this idea that if I cannot live up to someone else's definition of a woman, someone else's definition of a believer, someone else's definition, then I have to discredit, I have to discount who I am. And the only problem with that is when you begin to see yourself as less valuable, you also accept things that you would not otherwise accept if you felt like you had value. If I were smart enough, if I were thin enough, if I were beautiful enough, then maybe I wouldn't have to do this. But since I don't have these things, I have to accept that. And that is a lie. Your value is not set by these experiences you have gone through. They are not set by society standard. I don't care what they call beautiful. I don't care what they call powerful. Your value is an inside job. It is a commitment that says, you know what? The truth of who I am, my ability to survive all that I've gone through, the way that I have seen the world has added to my value, not decreased it. And that is some big, bad, bold belief that not many of us are able to tap into. But if we can just try by faith to say, you know what if that didn't change anything? I work with women quite a bit. And while my issue was teen pregnancy and having to recover from that, I know enough about what women have gone through to know that whether their parents were divorced, they got divorced, molestation, like they have all of these experiences that they think in some way have made them different than the person they're sitting next to. And because I am not as valuable, then I have to do things that they don't have to do. What I have learned is that everyone has had some type of experience that has challenged them in their belief of their value. And because we've all had these types of experiences, maybe we aren't any less valuable as a result of the experiences. Maybe instead we're more valuable because the wisdom and resiliency connected with having to face these things have made us more confident, more courageous in how we show up in the world. There's a conversion that has to take place. But once that conversion happens, there's a relentlessness that is attached to it as well.
For the person listening who is nodding along, and the way you just framed this idea, that if you take any mistake that you make, and then you discount yourself and you start to tell yourself this story over and over again that you're not valuable, which then makes you accept behaviors in your life or makes you discount your own value. And you said, actually, no, there's a flip here. Like all those experiences actually create wisdom. They make you human. And it's what you do with those things that matters. And you have control over that. And most people are sitting there talking about what happened instead of flipping it into something that they can use to make something extraordinary happen. You have this concept about life giving you leftovers and how you make a meal out of it. Can you share that with us? Because I have a feeling that that's sort of a tool we can use to help us look at the things that we keep beating ourselves up over.
Okay, so if I go back to when I was pregnant, and mind you, I was 14 years old. So I thought that the only way I could recover from my pregnancy was to create a new life, a new existence. And so my goal was to do something completely new. I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to be a CFO. I am going to put something on top of this teen pregnancy that's going to make things better. And I think that the reason why I failed over and over again in trying to create something new is that I wasn't using what I had left over. And
what are you doing? Juggling everything I need to run my business as a creator. I use Squarespace for my website, MailChimp for my emails, PayPal for my payments, Google for my analytics. Plus, I have to make and edit all my content. What does it look like I'm doing? It looks like you might need some help. You got a better way?
Yeah, Kajabi.
What's that?
It has everything you need to manage your creator business. One subscription, one login, zero hassle. Simple. And there goes your analytics site.
What did you say you use again?
Kajabi. Yeah.
Instead of saying, okay, this is what's in my cabinet. I'm a teen mom, a smart girl, I have a writing gift. I kept trying to reinvent who I was.
Oh.
And you can't reinvent who you are using ingredients that don't exist. You got to use all of the ingredients. So, yes, I have all of these gifts and talents, but I also have a child. I'm still struggling with, my insecurities. I've gone through this divorce. I have to take all of this in order to create something that is really going to be authentic to who I am. Because what I don't want to do is reinvent a version of myself that requires me to pretend that I'm not who I was. This is who I am. This is my truth. And when you fight to really accept the truth of who you are, you don't allow it to be snatched easily out of your hands. And because it's not snatched easily out of your hands, whatever you build with those things aren't snatched either. When I started blogging, because this is how all of this became a thing, where I had like a following.
God, so just to put it in a timeline,
Yes.
Are you like in your early 20s?
I'm in my early 20s.
Okay, so you open up the cupboard, and I love that visual, because I think most of us, when we say, look at what you got.
Yeah.
Let's just take the raw ingredients. Let's take all, like for me, it's like being molested.
Yeah.
It's all the cheating that I did. It's the anxiety that I struggled with. It's the, what a bitch I used to be. It is all of, like, just all of it.
It's all
Sarah, when I open up that cupboard, I'm like, whoa!
You know what?
I'm not going grocery shopping. I'm not doing this stuff. Yeah, exactly. No. I'm not going to. Let's do something with it. Let's paint the cupboard. Let's nail it shut. Let's do something. Let's distract everybody over here. But it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because until you get comfortable with the ingredients that you have and you see it as something to use.
Yeah.
Not to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
Not to hide, because the stuff that you hide, people and the world then has power over.
For sure.
But the second that you open up the cupboard and you're willing to look at what you're working with, now you have power.
Yeah. I love it. That to me is like the greatest message that any of us need to understand, is that like us closing the cabinet means that I have to live an existence that pretends that I don't have what I have. And that is stressful, and that is inauthentic. And then we start people pleasing, because if I'm not going to embrace who I am, then I'll just be whoever you need me to be. But when you say, you know what, this is who I am, and you're going to have to meet me. You're going to have to meet me here. I'm still growing. I'm still talented. But this is what I have to offer. This is what I bring to the table. And I have found value in it. I can show you the value that I have found in it. But until I see it as valuable, I can't expect anyone else to see it. So yeah, in my early 20s, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start blogging. I was in a toxic relationship, and I'm just like, I don't know how I got here. So writing for me is how I process my thoughts, and I'm dumping it onto the internet, not thinking it's going to mean anything. Then people start connecting to this blog, and now they're being inspired. I'm like, oh Lord.
I didn't know
not inspired by me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to slow this train down by telling them, like, I got pregnant at 13. Like, I'm going through a divorce. I dropped out of college. I am not your inspiration. And then I still was. They were like, oh my gosh, me too. Oh my gosh, I'm no longer alone in this. I didn't know that someone else felt this way. And now all of a sudden, those things that I thought disqualified me, those things that I thought I could never use, are the things that people actually had a taste for. This authenticity, this truth, this uncertainty, and this willingness to own it, there was an appetite for that at the time, it felt like very few people were willing to say, this is who I am, this is what I've gone through. And that appetite wasn't just for you to say, this is who I am, but also, I really wish that I could also be this. And so in my early 20s, I started this journey of like, this is where I am. This is what I hope to be true. I'm going to live like it's true. And these women who have been on this journey with me have seen my life evolve literally as a result of us saying like, hey, maybe we are the misfits. Maybe we aren't the ones that anyone wanted, but girl, I'll claim you.
But first you got to claim the cupboard.
For sure. Gotta claim the cupboard.
That is such a phenomenal metaphor.
Yeah.
Because all the people pleasing results in you not wanting people to see what's in there.
For sure.
And until you learn how to go into those places where you're punishing yourself.
Yeah.
And you said, when we first started talking, allowing the love and compassion and acceptance to flow into those places that have been really dark. Well, they've been dark because the cabinet doors are closed.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's really liberating. It sounds scary. I can feel the fear that you're probably experiencing right now at the very idea of going into that space that maybe your mom didn't have the courage to go in, your father never talked about, because a lot of this is generational, right? It's how our families' paradigms have shaped the way we see ourselves and the way we see what we're working with. And I am just here to let you know, this is what I love about the book that I wrote, is that I am not going to make you drastically change your life overnight. Just between you and you, can you open that cupboard? Just between you and you, can you say, this is all that I'm working with? And some of it's real spicy, and some of it's bland, and some of it's bitter, and some of it's very, very sweet. Just if you could create intimacy within yourself, where you say, this is all of who I am. If you can hear your own story, that's the beginning. If you can hear it and not cringe, if you can hear it and accept it, that's the beginning. And from that space, you whisper it to another person. There's a friend who's going through something, and because you've gone through your cupboard, you say, hey, I got some of that too. I just want you to know that that doesn't have to be the end. And from community and connection, we begin to spread our story. And that spreading is why I'm here. And that spreading is the light that we get to offer to the world. It's our testimony.
Which again, going back to the cupboard, it's dark when it's closed.
Yeah.
So opening it up is the beginning of that little Christmas light that you're talking about that starts to sparkle and that will spread. And every time you open your mouth and you tell your story, that makes the light a little bit bigger. And you were saying that we make a mistake in waiting for these big bonfires in life, when every single day there's the opportunity to open the cupboard door and open your mouth and tell your story. And that's where the light and the magic is.
For sure.
For somebody who's in the place where, because for a long time, when I started looking, I guess I used to say back, but until you actually sit with what's in your cupboard, it's in the present,
it's right
baby.
here.
It's right there.
It's right here.
Well, that's the other thing, is that we talk a lot about regret.
Yeah.
But because you won't sit with it, it's actually not in the past.
No. Yeah.
And so for someone who is entertaining that liberating and courageous moment of even faith in yourself to face it, right? And you do cringe. Like there are some things that the Mel Robbins, when I was Mel Schneeberger, there is stuff that I don't know that I still cringe, but I'm like, oh God, and I have compassion.
Sure.
But for somebody that hasn't ever sat with it and the cringe is there and you want to turn from it, do you have any tools or advice for how to sit through the cringe and what is actually coming when you allow all of that grief and that judgment to rise up inside you?
I love that you use the word grief. You have it.
Oh God, I love that. Bring it.
Okay, so here we go. So I think that part of the reason why we feel regret when we look at those moments in our lives that make us cringe is because we are constantly turning on a movie right in the middle and looking at one particular scene of our life over and over again and judging our life based on that scene. If you are in a moment right now where you're flirting with the idea of learning to sit with yourself and experience compassion for what you've gone through, I dare you to look at your whole movie in totality. When I thought about the idea of me getting pregnant at 13, I would cringe like, girl, like how could you over and over again? Now when I think about it, I feel sorry for who I was at 13. Not sorry like because of who I am, but I feel compassion. I feel her lostness. I feel her isolation. I feel her loneliness. I feel her anger. I understand why I made that choice. I know what I was looking for. I know what I didn't have because I sat with myself. And when you're in a family, like my parents have, their lives exploded overnight. People talk about like mega churches, mega pastors. Like no one sets out for it to be mega. People keep coming. And it's like, I guess we need a bigger building, you know what I mean? And so you make these big buildings and, you know, I guess we're supposed to do stuff in the communities that like you respond to the need. And while they were so busy dealing with whatever it meant to be thrust into the spotlight, they thought we were okay. They really did. They thought we were okay, but we were lost in a sea of people. And overnight, our lives went from having this family church where we knew everyone to all of a sudden people sending death threats and we need security. And we weren't okay. No one was helping us process what was happening. They couldn't process it. And so I was lonely. I was angry. I didn't fit. So when I think about who I was when I got pregnant, if I just look at me rubbing my belly at 13, I could say, oh, so cringy. I could say, man, that girl was really heartbroken. That girl really needed someone who could see her. That girl really needed someone who would tell her where she fit in this world, or to take her out of that world and to help dive into her own world. I didn't have those things. And as a result of that, I tried to self-soothe and I made some choices that I wish I could have done differently, mainly for the sake of my son not having to grow up with me at the same time I was growing up.
Yeah.
But I don't feel bad about that anymore because I see the whole movie. And so if you're watching this or listening to it, I want you to know that you do not have to look at your life at one scene at a time. That the greatest gift you can give yourself is to look at it from the opening credits to where you are now and understand that anyone who had what you had in the cabinet would have probably made the same choice. They would have ended up addicted too. Maybe they would have been heartbroken as well. Maybe they would have been from whatever your thing is that makes you cringe. If you look at the whole movie, given what you had to work with, I want you to know that you did the best that you could.
I love that you are reminding us to go back to the beginning. Because we not only freeze the frame and we cut us off from the rest of the story, but we also freeze the frame and we don't even consider the plot line that led up to this. And so we judge it from a frozen moment in time when you do have the full story. And as I listen to you over and over and over again, and just really to each word, the thing that keeps coming up for me is this ability to get the whole movie of your life. The fact that it's so easy to forget, isn't it, that this is also your parents' first time being, that they're doing the best that they can with what they had in the cupboard, based on what your grandparents had in their cupboard. That doesn't mean that any of it is justified. It just means like,
this is what they had.
This is what they had. There is this level of kind of, my daughter has this term, open arms. There's kind of open arms kind of people, which is the physical version of an open heart. And you have this ability to make us want to look at our own movie and story with an open heart and compassion for self. How important is that sort of loving understanding, I guess is how I would describe what compassion is.
Yeah, for sure. I would. Yeah, looking at your life through a lens of love is an incredible definition of what it means to have compassion. And I think it's responsible to do that when you're going to engage in relationship with other people. Because if you can't look at your life through the lens of love, but you can look at other people's life through the lens of love and feel compassion for them, then you cannot even receive the love that you're pouring out into the world. Or worse, we are harsh with other people because we're harsh with ourselves. Because I can't see my life through a lens of love, I'm definitely not going to see yours. And if I went through this and you went through that, baby girl, grab them bootstraps, and that ain't nothing. Like now we're in the struggle Olympics. Like
Who's got it worse?
who's got it worse? You know what I mean? Or we're jealous, or we're envious, and like we just are not. The best people to be in relationship with when we haven't figured out what compassion looks like for our own journey. And especially if we're doing the work of raising children, loving partners, like there is an obligation I feel that we have to bring more love into the world. And love isn't going to come from pursuit, it's going to come from us digging a well within ourselves. And when we dig that well and we hit that spring of love, not just for ourselves, it overflows into how we care for other people. We were at Starbucks the other day, and my daughter, she's 14.
Yeah.
She's not aware of anything except for herself. And she swings the door open, and she hits the car of the person beside us.
Oh, gosh.
And he's coming out of Starbucks at the same time. And he calls her like a dumb, he just called her something ignorant, crazy. So I heard him say it. And I go, now that wasn't kind. And that response, instead of like matching his anger, like because I've been frustrated before someone's hit my door, they weren't paying attention. So like I'm not gonna act like, oh my gosh, how could you be frustrated that someone hit your car and probably dinged your door?
Yeah.
But I think I caught him so off guard by not responding with fire. I was just like, no, that wasn't kind. That he felt conviction about how he was showing up in the world. But I think that when we are able to really master that, it literally changes all of the ways that we interact with people. Now, that doesn't mean I won't cut somebody out though. So like, don't cut. that was a good moment. I was full of love. I must have just been worshiping. But like, if you catch me in a low moment, I'm going to try. I'm going to do all the things. But
What are all the things that you do in order to stay in a grounded place where you are present to that power and light inside you?
I have to rest. When I am not resting, I am running on fumes. And when I'm running on fumes, I don't always make the best choices. I'm tired, I'm weary, I'm irritated. From the place of rest, even if for me it's just like spiritual rest, right? Letting my brain rest, gratitude, appreciation, prayer, meditation, really reflecting on my life. And this is what I do. I let the 13-year-old girl who experienced shame, rejection, and loneliness like take in where life is now. Oh. The grown woman version of me grabbing this little girl's hand and saying, look, girl, like, look, you made it. Your son's 21 now, and he loves you, and he's an incredible human. And oh my gosh, this man that you married, like, look at how he talks about you, and and my children and my life, and like, look what they're saying about you, because she heard you're nasty. She heard you're a slut. She heard all of those things. And if I'm not careful, I won't allow her to hear what people are saying now. I won't allow her to experience the affirmation of God that exists in her life now. And sometimes I'm so busy doing and checking the boxes and going through the calendar that I don't let her in for like this listening session where like we look at this world.
I think
I did $12,000 in one day.
I made over like 100K in a few months. We did about 800K in 5 months.
I don't even know how to make money with Instagram like at all.
I was making around $10,000-$15,000 a year, and then suddenly I made like 100K.
I think no matter where you are in your movie, the scene that you're in is still worthy of reaching backward and taking a younger version of yourself and just taking a moment and going, we made it this far.
Yeah.
Like, look at all of this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, because this adulting thing, they keep moving the marker. They just keep moving it. It's like, child, I just got here. And now you're telling me that here doesn't exist, it's actually there. And then I get there and that's not here either, But where I am now was a place that I once wanted to be. And I think reconciliation is being able to say, like, look at where we are now. Like, okay, you have all these things you want to do and all these plans, all that stuff. Like, okay, maybe we get there, maybe we don't. But right now, if we didn't get any further than this, man, if I did not get any further than this, it feels greedy for me when people are like, what are you going to do next? What's next? What are you going to do? That feels like greed because I am in the overflow right now. If I never write another book, this is the last podcast I record and I disappear from people's brains and minds. What God has done in my life up until this point was not something I could have ever asked for. I didn't even know this was possible. I did not know that God saw this for me. Can I tell you a story?
You can, I am in a trance. You can tell me whatever the heck you want to tell me.
It just gives me chills. I love it. But when I first got pregnant, someone very close to me looked at me and said, I always knew you expect something like this from you. And that made me question so much. Now I'm 13 with a 13-year-old mind. And it just made me feel like there's really something wrong with you. The church stuff didn't make sense. And now someone's saying they really expect this from me. And I ate that for breakfast, like for 10 years. Like there's something wrong with you.
I love it.
The dirty, the nasty, all of that. Like I just ate that. I believed it. And when my life started changing, I think I probably did experience imposter syndrome, which it was weird because I told people who I was, but they were still there. And so now I'm just questioning myself. And I was at church and I I was just kind of like praying, worshiping, and I was about to go on tour. And now I just be doing stuff. I'm just like, let's see what'll happen if we do a tour. And then the tour sells out. I'm like, oh Lord. I'm usually prepared for things to fail, not for things to succeed. I'm like, oh, they come to the tour. And I'm praying. And I really just felt like the presence of God saying, I always knew to expect something like this from you. And sometimes I'm standing in moments and I start to feel doubt and I start to feel worried and I start to wonder if I have what it takes to stand up in the moment. And I feel God saying, I always knew to expect something like this from you. And trusting what God knows, what God knew, what God saw. Even when I didn't see it myself, there's nothing else to be added to this. And I will not allow other people's idea of who I could be to rob me of the assurance I have received from what God's always known about me. Like, I can't let you keep moving the marker because I already know, like, I won already. I won.
How would you frame the way that you're talking about your relationship with God to a person that's listening that either has lost their faith or doesn't believe in God? Like, how do they kind of tap into what you're saying if they're not in a place where they have the same level of faith that you do?
For me, I will say that I believe in the intentionality of our existence. Like, the whole world has been created with this intention. The way that everything is working together, the solar system, the mosquitoes, like everything is playing a part. Like, I hate mosquitoes, but for some reason they do serve this atmosphere. I just don't believe that it got to humanity and there was no intention for humanity. And so that belief undergirds the way that I show up in the world, that I am just as essential as the sun for my time here. I am just as essential as the ocean for my time here. I believe that. And so from that space of intentionality, I am always seeking out, how do I make sure that I am in an optimal state to be sensitive to the role that I can play in this moment?
What I love about what you just said is that you are raising the stakes on yourself. For why you are here. And so many of us are looking around for somebody else to go, okay, I pick you. Okay, you're now the one. Okay, I'm going to give you permission. And when you look at yourself as being here for a reason, and the reason is simply to spread light, simply to make the people around you, your community, your family, yourself feel better. To do good, like that in and of itself gives your life meaning. And then when you add into it, okay, so let me work with the ingredients that I got. Let me do something with this.
That's why I said to make sure I'm in my optimal state, which means I've got to make sure that I am as well, as aware, as whole, as reconciled as possible in order for me to be most effective. That's a constant reconciliation, like in accounting. Like, I got to go back to the books. Hold on, you got on my nerves, Dad. Like, I must need a nap. I need to go reconcile.
I think rest is something I need. Like, I become so, I hate myself when I'm tired.
She's not a good girl. She's not.
I want to throw her in the cabinet.
She needs a nap. She needs, like, and not just like I need to go to sleep. Like, I need you all to stop asking me for stuff. Like, I can always tell when I'm overexerted, when like my family, my community, my team are asking me for things that I set a precedent for, and I am annoyed. Why would
Did they call you and tell you to come today to give me this talk? No.
Let me tell you, when my 8-year-old asked me what for dinner, I'm like, feed yourself. Like, when are you going to grow up? When are you going to, why are you asking me for dinner? What do I look like, the shepherd? I'm like, you that. Because now you set this precedent and you don't want to live up to it anymore. And so maybe you do need to change the precedent, but you probably don't want to communicate it that way. So you need to take a minute, recollect, regroup, figure out what do you need what is still true for you right now, what is no longer true, and who needs to be aware of this so that they can make space for who you are now.
You know what I'm going to do when we're done talking?
What?
I am going to ask the team to take that particular segment
Okay.
and text it to me so that I can listen to it on repeat until I have taken my nap. And I can just change the precedent and stop being like angry about being overworked, because you're right, it is everywhere. And I think what you just said is genius, because especially as women.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Sign me up.
I'll
Okay,
do it.
I'll do it.
I
I'll
got
do
it.
it. No, I got it. It's easier to do it myself. Okay, no problem,
Yeah.
no problem. And then the thing that you said about your 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really like, who the hell do you think? You think I'm a bank?
Who do you think I am?
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute.
They think you are who you said you are. They think you are who you used to be. Like, they have a reason to expect this from you. And maybe they can still expect it. Maybe you can take a nap and they can still expect it. But maybe you have to change the expectation. And this, I feel, is why we end up robbed of power in our world, is that we set a precedent, we set an expectation, whether it's from our people pleasing or whether it's from something that was authentic for us years ago. And now I can no longer live up to that standard. And so I feel like I'm being held hostage in my life.
Yes, and I think you know that this is true in any moment where you start resenting.
For sure.
People that you care about,
Yeah.
or something that you used to love.
Yeah.
And this framework is so helpful, because I always say it's like, okay, the process is broken or this has happened, but I realize that there are ways in which I've behaved in the past that just don't work.
They just don't work.
And I was laughing to myself when you were kind of talking about how they keep moving the mark for adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about the fact that our youngest of 3 just graduated from high school, and I was like, oh, I'm being an empty nester. I'm like, you mean the birds leaving the nest? Because as far as I'm aware, they haven't, like, they fly back, they all more. The problems are just
It's
more
still here.
expensive.
Yeah,
and
the
they're
problems
still
are
here,
more
so
expensive. Yeah.
it's nobody's leaving anything.
Yeah. Yes. But when I was growing up, it's like, oh my gosh, you turn 18 and now, you know what I mean, 18. But honey, we hit 18 and it's just not, it's not giving what it was supposed to give.
Yeah. Well, we got to change.
Yeah, we do.
In terms of how we're going to be in the next chapter. Oh, I got so much out of that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. You know, you talked about how you just started writing about what was in your cupboard, sharing everything, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'll just try going on little tours, talking to some of the people that I. Next thing you know, you're writing a book.
Yeah.
And I read that when this all started happening, you had to dare to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Why is it a dare?
Well, when you have spent more time doubting yourself than believing in yourself, it's not an easy transition.
Yes.
And I cringe when I see people are like, just take the leap, take the hard. Really, really hard, because I've only known one way of being, one way of seeing myself. Mm-hmm. And now you're telling me like I'm a bad bold person and I just need to step into it and run with it. And like, I can't do it. It is a dare. It is not something that comes easily, but it is something that gradually picks up momentum. And so I try to challenge people, like, one, like, let's create this vision. Like, who is this person who you believe is within your reach to become? You open the cupboard, you know what you're working with. Who is it that you believe you can become from here? And how do we begin to gradually introduce that person to your life? It is there, but you don't have to go from where you are right now to that person overnight. It is an introduction. For those who you're in intimate relationship with, it's the ability to say, you know what, that precedent that I set, the way that I have been showing up, it doesn't necessarily feel honest anymore. And I want you to know the most honest version of myself. And maybe things will change a little bit. You know, I'm married. I don't want to write a book that empower someone to be like, you know what, I want to change, and whether they can get with it or not.
This
When it's someone
podcast that
right,
I'm looking
you know what I
at,
mean?
I
Like
don't
that's you
ever
might want
look
to
at
keep that
them,
person
but
around. Maybe they haven't
I'm
done
gonna have to
anything to you.
listen to that and let that marinate in my sleep. Because that is just like amazing. It is so good. Um, she said, process what is in your cupboard. That is so amazing. Process what is in your cupboard. Process what is in your cupboard. I love it. Marinating over activating. Marinating over activating. I love it. So I like that. Is just like so cute. I'm gonna like really look at that. How to overcome self doubt. That is like I love DIY. No self help stuff. I love it. All right, let me see if I can find me a good movie. And then I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to relax. I got in the shower. And my hair got all curly. I did my nails tonight just to put on something short and just so that it can be done around the house. But I'm going to do them some more. Probably later, but right now, that's just what I got going on. Oh, that is so cute. I love that. Oh, that's a cute little table. They do not sell that kind of stuff at Dollar Tree in the black people neighborhood. I'm sick of them with that. If I go all the way over to Roswell, I'll find some good stuff. So I don't know. This That's so disrespectful. I hate when they put this stuff on there that they don't have at Dollar Tree. Then when I want it, it's not there. A second chance. Let's see. It's only an hour long. What kind of movie is an hour? If it doesn't motivate you, nothing will. If this doesn't motivate you, nothing will. I have to look at that. Mhm. Mhm. Oh my God. All right, what time is? Oh, it's 11 o'clock. Mm. $5 off Uber Eats. Ain't nothing to eat at Uber Eats. Oh, oh. All right, guys, I'm gonna get off of here and come back in a little while. I did my nails; they are so cute. Dollar Tree has the best toe nails. That I'm telling you, those things are just $1, and I live for them. They're amazing. So I just took a quick shearer and my nails look so good. I love it when they're done. Look so clean and fresh. I'm gonna relax and look at a movie and pray, get my mind right. What I wanted to do, it's 11 o'clock, so I don't know. It might be too late. Let me see. If I have over 40% on my battery, then I will. Let me see. Nope, I got 34. Which I can still put it on the charger real quick. But I said about a week and a half ago, that I was going to do my story, my testimony of my life, and how I got here so people can really have an understanding of who I am and why I exist. Um, I'll get into part one tonight before I get off. I'm going to do this in segments. And actually, I'm going to charge my phone and I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it in segments. I'm going to do maybe part one, which will be my childhood, and then I'll do my first marriage in prison, and then I'll do part three, which is my life today. So I'll do from birth to about 20, and then I'll do from 20 to when I went to prison, and then I'll do coming out of prison up until where I am now, and then you know talk with a purpose, and kind of lay my life out so that you know what I'm saying. Partially for healing purposes, but then also because I want to lay out my next project, whether I think I want to do a movie. I think that my life is a movie, and I want to call my life um I want to um I want to call my story SOAR, SOAR, spouses of agent retaliation, or survivors of agent retaliation. So yeah, so I think I want to do that and do part one, and then part two, and then part three, and kind of take it from there. But I have to feel in the mood, to feel like talking. And lately, I just feel like relaxing, writing, typing. I might do some homework in a minute, or might, you know, it's a good night to write out business plans. Oh, and another thing, I write my business plans. AI does not write my business plans for me. I have better than AI software. Thank you very much. The Lord is my AI. And he writes my plans and give me my plans. And he gives them to me in my sleep, or I wake up with them, or I'm inspired when I'm in praise and worship. But AI does not write my business plans for me. People be asking me for the names of my businesses so I can go and have AI write it and get loans and grants. Don't nobody care about that retarded junk. They've been doing that junk for a long time. Wake up. Who else ain't did it? I don't care. I don't care about no idea that I give out, but my phone and the cure to cancer and system one. Other than that, I don't care about nothing else, child. I don't care about the scenic views. I don't care about um what is it called? Sensual shower. I don't care about that. Um because when God gives me an idea, he gives it to me. And if you take it, then you can't do nothing with it. And even if you know the plan, you will have so much headache and so much heartache trying to do it because it's not in you to do. It has to be in you to do. Nobody can't be me but me. So God gives me my ideas not because he gives me ideas to um be, you know, he gives me the ideas because everything that he's given me is supposed to help me do something else. You know how they say you take one idea or one business venture and you fund another one. And my whole thing is I want to make a radical change in the African American culture. I think that I am the new um, black activist on the rise. That my story and my life and where I am now is going to pave the way for major changes in the federal government. And I know that for a fact. And so it's a matter of being patient, waiting on the process to complete, which is annoying, but God has his timing and He knows what I'm supposed to do. Like in 2018, I cried and I prayed. I still have the note I wrote to church on asking God to please take this situation out of my life so that I could be happy and that I could move on with my life. And it's 2024, and that prayer did not, I can't say that He didn't answer my prayer because it didn't, He sustained me. He didn't answer it in the way that I wanted, but He sustained me and He kept me. And I got emotional thinking about that last night of all the different ways that God has kept me, understanding that I slept, went to bed like with covers and a pillow on March the 24th or 25th of 2022 at Foot Haven and at Foothill and Haven in Rancho Cucamonga at about 1 o'clock in the morning, 12 or 1. And when I think about that, I can't believe it. I can't believe that God allowed me, that He kept me. I don't want to say that God allowed me. I want to say that God kept me in such a situation um, that was so dangerous. I was so vulnerable. Anything could have happened to me. And I just was in a situation that I said, I'm not going to break. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to crumble. And I'm not going to die. I like that as a poem, actually. I'm not going to break. I'm not going to crumble. No, I'm not going to break. I'm not going to break. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to crumble. And I'm not going to die. And I went to sleep. Like, I literally was out there snoring. A black man woke me up the next morning. I was asleep. The man woke me up the next morning and gave me a pamphlet and $2. I guess he thought I was on crack or something because I was out there. And the $2 was enough to get me something to drink or whatever. But I wasn't like hungry like that, like out there. I was just out there strictly because I didn't have anywhere to go, and they had just took my truck. So that was March of 2022, and I thought about that last night of how God kept me and how He is so faithful, and He sustained me. And in that lesson, in that moment, that moment where I got, just in moments like that I was able to see God for who He really is, and to see how He would, you know, hold on a second. I'm trying to see how this camera is interacting with my phone because it's a lot of changing going on. So that was just like the best thing ever. And so I just wanted to say um, that He was just faithful. God is faithful, and He's amazing, and I'm so blessed to be able to call Him my friend. And So I'm just going to um, let's see, just like relax and put my trust in Him, and just know that if He has allowed me to be to this point, that He has purpose for it. And if God has a purpose for it, then He will restore my life in such a way um, that all I have to do is just rejoice and just wait on the manifestation of what He's promised me. He's a God that can't lie. And I mean, He cannot lie. People tell lies, but God cannot lie. And before I get off this live, I want to say, if God put a vision in your heart and in your soul, I want you to put, wait, as I put my trust in the Lord, if God put a vision or a seed or a thought, you just know when it's God. You just have a deep notion of feeling. Even, and for those that don't believe in God, you know the trajectory of your life. Like, you know what your dreams are. You know what your goals are. You know what your purpose in this life to do. You know. And so if God put something in your heart and in your soul, and you know it like you know your name, then it's nothing else for you to do. If you don't see it, then He's just not brought you to that place yet. I can't even say that He's not finished. I can't say that because He's done. But He has just not brought you to that place yet. When I look at where I am now in my life, I know that you have a ton of maturing to do. You know, now, would that mean that it's going to be another 10, years of my life? I hope not. But if you're holding up the progress by complaining, by once He puts the rule, the give you the ability to make some changes, and you don't do that, or you're stagnant, or you're procrastinating, then you're just holding up the process. But it's a process. It's just like when you're a kid, you don't just give your kids the keys to the car. You give them a little car, a little remote control car, or a little RC car that they can, drive around. But you don't give them the keys to the car. It's a process. They have to grow into that uh, ability to do that. They have to grow into being responsible enough for that. And so it is with God. If you want to face nations, and I know I will, you want to make these radical changes. I know you want to be you want to be a pastor. This is what God said to me. I know you want all these things that I've given you, this vision. And my mom told me too. When I was 9, my mom told me the same thing. So I know this is happening. My life is shaping the way for that. But when you look at it still to say, but what in that, where are you in this scene of your life, in that you can look today to see this is what God is doing in my life today to prepare me for who He wants me to be. And it doesn't mean that I don't have any value today. It just means that I am on a road and I am traveling emotionally to where God has me to be. So that's about it. So I'm about to get off of here. I live on here, actually. I live on live. And they'd be like, why does that girl live on live? Well, watch her story because she got a movie coming out. It's very good. And she got a book coming out, and it's very good. So, but that's what I wanted to say. I'm about to get ready to get off of here. So, my phone is so clear. Let me see what y'all said, Sean. So, I will be back later on tonight, and or probably in a few minutes after I charge my phone. My tablet over there. I could go on live on my tablet or something, but I think it still needs to charge. So I'll be back later on, guys. Talk to y'all for now. Talk to y'all later. Bye bye for now. Bye. Bye, guys.